Okay, this is a CCA C16. It's a company that's related to KZ. You'll know that as soon as you start playing with this absolutely horrific garbage cable. Garbage cable. This is garbage in 2015 and 2019. It's like a weird joke. I don't know why they use this cable. Why do I say that? Because I always talk about the cables. I'm a cable slut. And it only took 25 seconds, so chill. So crap cable aside, I thought these sounded good when I took a listen to them. But my brain picked out certain stuff, so I'm going to do a full review, but I'm going to do, this is first impressions, like what I think when I'm listening. I look at that graph, and it doesn't look bad at all, actually. Only thing about it is if you can see where that starts to peel its way up. It's usually 1K where you got that pit, and then it starts to go up. You're about 850 right here when you're shooting up, and you're before 2K when you've reached the top of the mountain. That's a quick one. And I just did the S10 by Fearless, which had the same kind of thing, an early rise and a very fast one, which means that the very early treble is quite elevated, and it gave me an issue on the vocals with Gordon Lightfoot, and it does with this set too. Not as much on Gordon Lightfoot, but on the next track, Dance the Night Away by Van Halen, there's a, let's see if I can play it loud but without bothering. There's a part where they're singing in the background, ah, the night away. So not David Lee Roth, but the back singers. So David sounds fine. Guitar sounds good. The whole sound, everything was sounding good for me. I hope the YouTube doesn't pick this up. Here comes the part. Hear that? It's like the chorus. That is shouting at me more than normal, and unusually so. That's got to be this. So this sounds fine. Now David's doing his part, and everybody's sounding good. Only oddities are that chorus and also hi-hats, which are a little bit not ideal for me. But David sounds fine, and the guitars and the this is where we come into the issue. This is Please Do Not Go by the Violent Femmes. Very, 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 very simple track. Jen, 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 dun 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 dun. It's a guitar strum that's followed by a really clean bass line. Like you can hear all four strings being pulled, and they're being deliberately slowly. It's a very, like a bass guitar student would probably, this would be a good track to get his feet wet. It's not very prominent, and I was expecting, because of a review I saw talking about bass bleeding into the mids, that this would be something that would maybe be an issue, which the difference between elevated bass, boomy, and bass bleed is different and also interpreted by people differently. So when I hear bass bleed, I think of something that's, I'm going to hear the bassist clearly, and that's going to cause other things to be masked or slightly covered, like the male vocals. Some of the bass guitar will sound a little bit warped because of the way that bleed is. Totally against that whole expectation. This bassist actually sounds like he's kind of back from the singer. And I talk about this song before, and this is, the Violent Femmes are a team in the sense that they always sound, and when they perform a lot of the time, they're like right next to each other a lot. That doesn't sound like the vocalist is up and then the guitarist in the back, like the backing band and him. No, they're all kind of right there. And in this track in particular, because the way they recorded it, the bassist actually sounds like he steps forward for his intro line, and then maybe falls back for the rest of the song. But that opening bass line, he sounds like he's up. On this set, he sounds like he's back, which is instantly noticeable by me. So these are not bass boomy to me at all, and they're not bassy really actually at all. They're a good set, and the only thing that's really jumping out at me is the harmonic of like a chorus in that Van Halen song. This bass is not up on me, but that's going to be a good point for other people. How this video is taken is depending on what you're looking for. That bass is not blowing out anything. As a matter of fact, it sounds a little bit polite compared to what I've been hearing. Whole lot of Rosie. That's not what I'm looking for. Can't find my way home. Ginger Baker, one of the most underappreciated drummers of his period, because there were a lot of good ones. I think Keith Moon is quite overrated. Really, honestly, I do. I think John Bonham is fucking fantastic. I think Ginger Baker is on level with John Bonham in some ways. And if you know that rock and roll from that period, Ginger Baker is really, really good. Just his rhythm and his timing and the way he uses his set is kind of different. He uses something that I think they call like a cattail, which is like a stick with it's like fucking like metal, aluminum, like a brush actually. And he's maybe it's called a brush, and he's hitting the hi-hat with that a couple times. Shh. There's a few moments where it sounds like he's using that. The decay of his, not his hi-hat, his cymbal hits sounds unnaturally cut off at the end. How to explain that, I don't know, because there's nothing in that graph that indicates that something that would be, maybe 2K past another event, like the cymbal hit would be somewhere, and then its harmonic extension in decay would be maybe a couple K forward, and it would be, because, that's this, it's rolling off. And it's not, actually. That thing's holding up all the way to like 12K. So there's no real explanation on that graph. Shows the limitations of graphs. But there is a noticeable, the crash or splash is, it's a good crash that just is cut, preventing the splash, but it doesn't sound like that from its initial. It sounds like a good presentation of cymbals, but it sounds a little like short, more than I would expect. So this is 7 minutes. I'm going to let this go. I think the set sounds good. I pointed out what I think's not great about it. I'm going to do a full review. So the bass is not that big on a simple track from the Violent Femmes. It's not it's just a simple bass coming in right after a guitar strum. Sounds unusually back for my ears. Gordon Lightfoot's voice sometimes sounds a little bit echoish, and the chorus from Dance the Night Away sounds too much for me. That track. This track with the guitar, Eric Clapton, Steve Winwood, sounds beautiful, and the only thing I can pick out that is a little odd is that the cymbal crashes abruptly stop, and there's nothing I'm looking at on a graph that would explain that, whereas I might be able to see that in other ways. Like I maybe that's falling off so much, and I have to think, you know what, I guess the first part of that hit is here, and then the extension, the harmonic extension, is just, it's not being represented. That's why it sounds like it's being short porched, and it's not actually reflected on the graph. So probably the best KZ or relative of KZ IEM that I've heard. I think it sounds very nice, and I'm being critical of it, but it's a really nice set, more than I expected. But this is the things that I think are not good about it. Next video, when I actually do a review of it, and maybe with a comparison to, this is 8 BAs, man. This is the same as the Fearless, the same as the Unique Melody that I have, and some others, and it doesn't hit on that level, but it's not priced on that level. So, is this a giant killer? No. Is it worth its money? To some people it might be. To people in the budget to buy stuff in this range, this is probably a really good set. And they say burn-in helps. I don't believe in that, so I don't think so. But that's it for now. I think they sound good. I immediately picked out the points that I didn't like, but that's about all I got. So when I do the video next time, you're not going to have to sit through a bitching, moaning cable, what the fuck type video.